Angus here from Auctions Plus. I'm the CEO of Auctions Plus and have been in the chair for about 12 months. Before we get the slides, hopefully they're popping up, who's heard of Auctions Plus? Hands up? Whew, bigger audience than I thought. You're a bit unsure on the scale of a business, but that's great news that people know who we're talking about. What I wanted to do was kind of cast our eyes back to who Auctions Plus was. And Auctions Plus actually started out of an MLA project. It was AMLC, Australian Meat and Livestock Corporation, and it was originally called CALM, Computer-Aided Livestock Marketing. The business was founded in 1986, and the founders of Auctions Plus had a vision that they wanted to trade livestock electronically. The first sale was in 1987. So I don't know whether people are starting to do the maths there, but this is pre-internet, pre-Snapchat, pre-Facebook, pre-Instagram, pre-augmented reality. This is 30 years ago. Founders of Auctions Plus had a vision to sell livestock electronically. Now, the first sale, as I said, ran in 1987. It required 2 kilometres of telephone cable, a generator to run the fax machine, and they had walkie-talkies relaying the bids, and it was based down in Tasmania. So we've come a long way since that first sale, and I'd say this 32-year-old overnight success has grown dramatically, and we are now the largest selling channel of livestock, or largest sale yard in Australia. And so what does that look like for us? We now get over 61,000 unique visitors to the website. We have over 1,800 registrations a day. We transact just under $1 billion worth of commercial livestock. The average transaction for us is around a 6-figure. So people are clicking on a button well over the value of $100,000. We have over 500 accredited assessors who go out and value the livestock and put the data online. And as I said, our major markets are cattle, sheep. We also dabble in farm machinery, wool, goats, pigs, horses, timber, working dogs, and the couple down there, wine and fish, we haven't done for a while. But anything's possible. So how does it work for those that, I guess, aren't aware of Auctions Plus? First and foremost, a decision is made on farm for somebody to sell their livestock. They obviously decide the right channel, which is Auctions Plus, and not go through the sale yard. And the reason they're doing that is because they are capturing true market value on a national scale. If I go through the sale yards, I'm only getting a small percentage of buyers potentially at that sale. If I go on Auctions Plus, my audience suddenly grows dramatically. If you go down to potentially Mortlake or Warrnambool, you might have 20 to 30 buyers at any store sale. You jump into one of our store sales, we have on average 600 unique bidders every store sale, every Tuesday. So what happens? A vendor's made a decision, one of our accredited assessors goes out, does an on-farm assessment. They fill in an on-farm assessment which has about 150 different data points that are captured individually on each animal. That is then uploaded to an electronic assessment. It's then catalogued, released for marketing. We run an online auction, which is a simultaneous or a sequential auction, depending on the type of the sale, and then settlement and delivery is done outside of Auctions Plus. So that's us today. But how could it work tomorrow? And I guess that's why we're all here. Again, somebody goes out on farm. They capture the data is inputted, it's catalogued and released for marketing. At this point is where I believe immersive technologies have an opportunity in the sale and marketing of livestock. So what does that look like? Well, you step into Auctions Plus Connect, which is an immersive world where you can see just like we saw the, the dinosaurs, but you can be surrounded by avatars of the animals. You can see data points. You can potentially step into a 360-degree video, be in the paddock, and see the animals and the sheep running around you in the yards. We've captured all of that data on the online assessment. That is now surrounding you, just as we heard before. You are completely immersed in the sale of the livestock. We've connected offline to online. So you step into the Auctions Plus world, you do the inspection, and then this is the wonderful world that we're living in. Do you then step out of the immersive world and start bidding on a tablet? You can, or you can remain in that immersive world and actually start to place those bids. So that is a project that Auctions Plus is looking at with one of our service providers over here, Think Digital. And for us, we know that immersive technologies are here. What role they're going to play, we don't know. But we're quite excited about where they could take us. So the question I always get asked is, so why are we looking at immersive technologies? Yes, it's fun. Yes, it's exciting. You know, your CEO's a bit mad and a bit crazy and a bit loopy and kind of goes off on tangents. But from a core business perspective, there has to be a reason commercially that Auctions Plus is looking at this type of technology. It's very simple. The first is change is constant and rapid. And I guess I'm preaching to the choir here. We know that the world is evolving at such a rapid pace, and it's driven by I guess, the digital world. One fact that I keep coming back to is it took 75 years for the telephone to connect 50 million users. It took Pokemon Go 17 days. But we do need to acknowledge the difference between, I guess, the innovation curve versus the adoption curve. And I think that is something that at Auctions Plus we're very, I guess, aware of, is technology is not necessarily the barrier. Quite often it is the people or the market conditions. And so for us, it's about how do we continue to deal with change and invest into the future while also staying very close to that adoption piece. Transparency is key to winning customers. We know this because information is power. And I've got a quote here about a lot that was marketed and published on Auctions Plus by an assessor that read, "These cows have faults. 9 have paddle feet, 3 missing tails, 22 with smashed hips and broken ribs, 15 have horn marks, 17 have dog bites, 1 cow missing a toe, and 2 cows are blind." That was publicly displayed in the lot and marketed that way. Obviously, from our perspective, we panicked and we thought there was an animal welfare and an RSPCA issue. We called the vendor, we called the assessor. His response? No, I'm just being completely open and honest in how I describe the animals that I assessed. The animals are healthy, they can travel, but I needed to disclose all of the faults. And we thought, okay, fair enough. We let the lot roll into the sale. And you know what's really interesting? That lot was the most active lot in that sale. And it got about $30 above reserve. And so yes, the assessor might have priced it right, but the fact that he was completely open and transparent with the information that he was providing allowed him to get the desired result for his vendor. So transparency is key to winning customers. And finally, why are we doing it? Innovation's in our blood. Our founders were inventors, they had a vision, and I guess as an industry, we're not always great at thinking 30 years in advance like our founders were. But what I also know is that we are excited about change. We want to do it, we want to learn about it, but we've got to take that step in starting to invest into it. And that's the process and the avenue where Auctions Plus is. But I guess a question that they're nice and sometimes they go, that's quite fluffy. I say, okay, well, what's really driving our investment? It comes down to one word: trust. We see immersive technologies as a tool to build trust between buyers and sellers, because that's what we do as a marketplace. We build relationships. And as I say, we create the trusting relationship you get in a handshake in the online environment. That is Auctions Plus. Because we know that we often click, we accept, we share, we make decisions based on the piece of information and content that we have available. Content isn't necessarily the killer. It is how it is delivered. And so I guess for us at Auctions Plus, it is ensuring we get the right content and delivering it in the right way that gives confidence and integrity. So, would you guys like to see how it feels? What I'd love you to do is take out your mobile phones, please, put them up in the air, unlock them and put them up in the air. Come on! It's been 2 days. Beautiful. Up in the air. Unlocked. Now I'd like you to pass that to the person on the right. Person on the right, and they have 2 minutes to do whatever they want with it. God, this audience is quite trusting. It's interesting, we always get those giggles, so you can hand them back. We always get those giggles. And what it's about, that moment there that you had of nervousness and fear and uncertainty, is the same moment a buyer has on Auctions Plus when they click a button that is potentially buying a lot worth over $100,000. So for us, immersive technologies can hopefully build a stronger trust connection between that buyer and seller. So, to the question at hand, is expecting livestock from your living room fact or fiction? Fact. And I expect us to be running immersive sales in the next 12 months. Really excited about it. I'm unsure how they're going to go, to be completely honest with you. But for us, we're willing to kind of jump off the cliff and see where we land. We know it's going to be a work in progress. And yes, this could be the moment where we sit here and somebody says in 30 years' time, God, they had an absolutely crazy CEO thinking that immersive technologies would be the next big thing. It took 30 years to get there, but at least we've started. And finally, I want to leave it with you and why trust is so important for us. It's because your online reputation is more important than your reputation at the sale yards or in the paddock. It's that simple. Immersive technologies will provide content in better ways to build trust. Thank you very much.